Hey everyone, it's Monday and time for another episode of Monday Mastery live at 5. I'm dating and relationship coach Rick Sodebeer, and I help singles make better decisions about the people they date and the relationships they get into. And it's been a crazy weekend, busy weekend, and hope you all had a great week last week and a fun weekend. So, up here, when I got up here last week, it was cold. And actually, for a couple of days, one day up here, had a high of 66. It's just, I'm not ready. And this morning when I got up and got out and moved around a little bit, it was 61, but it was a chilly 61. It's like, it's almost like you can feel fall in the air. And, up here, up in northern Michigan, northern Wisconsin, on my drive back and forth between the two places, I'm starting to see, and I've seen it for about 2 or 3 weeks now, 4 weeks, little patches of color starting to show up. So it's getting to be that time of year. So anyway, like I said, I hope you guys had a great weekend, and let's talk about dating. Let's talk about your attitude about dating. And again, this is all as I said last week, it's brought about by certain comments, certain experiences. And recently I've had several comments, very negative comments on a couple of my ads and a couple of my posts. And it's, even the post that I did on Facebook about today's broadcast, about how you think of your dating life. One lady says non-existent. Well, is that by choice or is that by attitude? There's another guy that said he just quit, and he said you figure it out. And there are so many people out there that I run into that are carrying a negative attitude about dating, and whether it's because they've lost a spouse or had problems with previous relationships, or they're just frustrated or carrying baggage from childhood. Hey, Addie, thanks for joining in. There are so many reasons that we can be negative. And the problem with being negative is that it carries forward into conversations. It carries forward into your date. It carries forward into your relationship. I had one woman make a comment about dating is that she looked at dating as trying to find a gem in a dung heap. And I politely responded that said, well, if you're looking for your gem, your soulmate in a dung heap, you're probably looking in the wrong place. And, and so how do you describe dating? And there's a few of you on here already. How do you all describe dating or your dating experience? Do you look at it as drudgery? Do you look at it as looking in a dung heap, thinking that every one of the opposite sex is a pile of crap? Hey, Lindy, thanks for joining in. She said, let's see, let me just put this up real quick. Lindy says, when you have a great first date, but then they ignore you, how do you deal with that? Well, Lindy, that's a great question. Apparently the date wasn't that great if they ignore you. Or maybe it was a great date for you and not for him. I can't imagine that, but because we've met and you are a marvelous woman. There are going to be times that that you're going to meet somebody and you think you just click, and then all of a sudden something happens. it happens to all of us. From personal experience, I know I've been dumped, and I was having this conversation with someone today about about breaking up with someone. And if you've broken up with someone, or had somebody break up with you, and you've only had a couple of dates, it's I guess it's okay to text. Text to say, yeah, I'm just not feeling it. But if you've had, quite a few dates and they're starting to get into a rhythm of a relationship, and then to get a text or to get ghosted, that's cowardly. So if you've had that experience, then you just know you were with the wrong person. I'm getting a little bit behind here, but that's a great question, Lindy, and if that's happened to you recently, I'm sorry that's happened. Let's see, Susan. Hey, Susan, thanks for joining in. All of the crappy dates I've had were all an opportunity to learn. I'm thankful. Awesome. That's the attitude. Addie says, I look at it as adventurous. There you go. That's awesome. And Addie says, yes, I've had some crap dates too, but it is what it is. It'll happen when it happens. Exactly. And and we're all going to have those dates that, they're just brutal. They're brutal while you're on them, but they give you something to laugh about, or a great story later on. And Addie also says it does get emotionally draining if you've had great dates and then they ghost you. It just makes you question yourself. Yes, it does. But then on the other hand, on the flip side, Addie and Lindy, I would look at that as a, for lack of better terms, you dodged a bullet, because you recognize you're starting to see their real personality. So it does get frustrating, but see, and that's where when you get emotionally drained, that may be a time just to step back for a month or 2 months or 3 months and just recoup. Just take care of yourself. Do things that please yourself, and take care of yourself. And then come back with a renewed. I'm sorry for bumping my desk tonight. I'm kind of animated. I've gotten a lot accomplished today, and I'm in a pretty decent mood. Kathy says, "Hey Kathy, thanks for joining in." Or someone who has communication problems. Oh, communication problems. That is so hard to deal with. A lot of times it's like, you gotta pry every little thing out of them, and that can be frustrating too. I mean, I've shared this story. I've shared this story on a number of occasions that oh God, I just had a brain fart. Oh, I've got so many things running through my head. My ex. That's where I was going. I had to go back and look at Kathy's. I had to go back and look at Kathy's comment. My ex was that way. I'm pretty good at reading faces. So when I saw that she was upset about it, I said, "What's wrong?" Nothing. And she'd come walking back in there. "Come on, what's wrong?" Nothing. And, after a period of time, I'd ask her again, and she said, "Are you just trying to piss me off?" And I'd back off, and it was done. And, it just got to the point that in about a month or 6 weeks, it would all come blowing out. All of these comments, this negativity, this hostility. Well, you did this and that and this and that. Why didn't you tell me that 6 weeks ago when I asked you what was wrong? Well, I didn't know. She had a communication problem. She couldn't share. She couldn't put her thoughts together. And dealing with someone like that is extremely difficult. Uh, Lindy says I had a really great date at a place with fun music, dancing, a little smooching, and then nothing. Craziness. Not sure what went wrong. I'm not sure either, Lindy. I I've got to think through that one. And then Addie says, haha, you seem pretty happy and seems to have pep in your step tonight. I do. And Addie, that's a great observation. Thank you. Because, hey, Gina, thanks for joining in. It's, and this goes to attitude and some of the crap that we hang on to. Um, it can be, gosh, some of this stuff can go back to childhood, but I'll give you part of an example of what's going on in my life. I've got renters in this building that are continually needing more and more and more and more space, and they're forcing me to make decisions on stuff that I've been sitting on for about 3 years. I've had equipment here that I've had for sale, and it goes a little bit here and a little bit there, but it's the stuff that I have is just so unique and so unusual, and from the baking business, because my dad was a baker. And I've just made the decision that because of where it's located, it doesn't have a lot of value. And I even called a scrapper last week, and he said, "Oh no, you gotta take all these things apart. You gotta separate out the materials." And I figured by the time I get done doing that, it's just easier to throw it and cheaper to throw it away. So I've made some decisions that have lightened my load, my personal load. So when you look at your life, when you look at the situations, when you look at dating, are you dragging? Hey Jackie, thanks for joining in. Are you carrying a lot of the garbage from bad dates? Are you looking at those bad dates negatively, or are you looking at them like Addie and looking at them as an adventure? It's an opportunity to meet somebody new, to learn something new about someone, to learn about yourself, what you like, what you don't like, and move on. But when you can finally make these decisions, and sometimes we got to be forced into these decisions. You got to be forced to let things go. A woman I dated recently, I've come to the conclusion she was a control fanatic. I don't want to say freak. She was a fanatic about being in control of everything. She had to be in control of everything for so many years, raising kids, running a household, and even when she was married, she had to take care of the household because her husband traveled for business, and so in maintaining the household, maintaining the business that they had cattle and stuff like that, and taking care of the kids. She had to do it all, and she wasn't used to somebody being there alongside her and helping her. And it was difficult, and it was part of what came between us. Addie says also probably was dating others too, and had a better connection, or she was easy, but instead of being honest, chickened out. Addie, that's with all due respect, guys, for any guys that are on here tonight, yeah, that's we tend to wimp out or chicken out. Somebody was telling me a story not too long ago about a guy she was dating, and how he just got really negative, really angry, and just ruined their vacation, and then just kind of disappeared without saying anything. and she heard through the grapevine, through her friends, that he was saying that he had broken up with her. Well, he didn't bother to say anything to her. And it's one of those things that you know, and people, some people do this. They don't want to be the adult. They don't want to have the adult conversation, and they try to make life miserable so that the other person gets so angry, so upset that they'll do the breaking up. That's probably one of the biggest cowardly ways out. And Susan says, I try not to take it very seriously anymore. I don't allow myself to become emotionally invested because nobody is to be trusted with my heart until they prove themselves. This takes a while. That's how I look at it. That's awesome, Susan. And the only thing that I caution you on, and I'm sure you're aware of this and you're watching it, just don't make the barrier. You can have high standards. Don't misunderstand me, but don't make the barrier to trusting and don't make the barrier to trust and what did you say? Well, just the barrier to trust so high or so deep that they lose interest before they can get to your heart. And I'm not talking about third or fourth dates. I'm talking, a couple, 2-3 months in, that's fine. 4 months, but you also have to make sure that they know that you're interested, because a lot of times, you can be so guarded with your emotions that your date it just gets worn out trying to knock down, trying to get through to figure out where you're at or what you're thinking, whether you like him or whether you don't like him. And guys really need to know, because we can't always figure it out. There are any number of roadblocks, communication roadblocks that you may say something, text something flirty, and it can be taken wrong. I know I've done it. So unless you actually talk, it's and share what's going on, and Susan, if you at least share with him and say, yes, I'm interested, but I need to take this slow. I have no intention of falling in love, at least not at this point. And you have to earn my respect and my trust, and then but again, don't make the bar so high to earn that trust and respect that you chase prospective dates off. Now, the ones that have no intention of earning that trust, they're just out for a little quick action. They'll disappear, and it's you dodged a bullet there. And Jacqueline says, amen, but keep your options open. Absolutely. Hey, Sheila, thanks for joining in. Susan says, better guarded than brokenhearted. I don't know. And I'll get back to you. I'm sorry I popped the button. Jacqueline says, my philosophy is actions speak louder than words. Absolutely. They have to walk the talk. Is how I've put it in the past. Susan, I don't know that. See, I've got a real not a real problem, but I've got concern about that being guarded rather than brokenhearted, because what I find happens that when you're so guarded that it's hard to it's hard to make a connection. And what I've found is that you have to be if you really want to date, if you really want to find your soulmate, you have to open yourself up to being brokenhearted. And that's just part of dating. That's part of this process of finding your soulmate. You can. I've in my book I say that the book is Dating Backward, and in the book we say that you can learn how to you can learn enough about someone in 30 days or less to determine whether or not they're worth pursuing further. And it doesn't mean that just because they're worth pursuing further that you're not going to find problems. It's a matter of being able to get to know someone, and you can't really get to know someone when you keep yourself guarded, when you don't let them in, when you don't let them get to know you. They're going to feel that wall, and you can be the nicest person, you can be the most friendly person, but they're still going to sense that there's that wall that's between you, and just sitting next to you with that kind of wall, it's like, oh, it's chilly in here, So you have to be so careful about where you draw that line. And getting caught up here, Jacqueline says, "Amen, Rick. Talk is cheap." Yes, it is. And like I said, you have to walk the talk. Susan says, "Thanks. You're right." And thank you. I appreciate that. But that's what it's all about is connecting, and to truly be an extraordinary dater, you have to be vulnerable. And it's not saying that you have to be silly, crazy, and just go chasing after the first guy that looks at you or the first woman that winks at you. That's not what it's all about. But when you find somebody that you seem to connect with, you need to open up and let things start to happen. Because if you don't, it's like I said, you build up that invisible barrier, and whether it's spoken or not, people can feel that. Guys, when you try to be the tough guy all the time, women sense that, and they sense that they're being shut out. And ladies, the same thing for the guys. We don't. We're probably a little dumber than a box of rocks when it comes to a lot of relationship stuff. So we kind of have to be led, and you have to do the leading. And not to say that he can't. I'm talking more from the emotional side. He can plan the dates. He can do that kind of stuff. But it's one of those. It's something that you need to help us with. I just had another thought, and it's just like one of those squirrel moments. So anyway, dating is. It has to be a two-way street, but you have to be open, and you have to be open, and you have to have a positive attitude towards dating. Like I mentioned at the top of the hour, if you have an attitude that you're looking for your soulmate or looking for a gem in a dung heap, then all you're doing is you're telegraphing that. That dating is not what you want to be doing. And actually, if we're all honest, none of us wants to be dating. We'd all love to be with our soulmate. We'd all love to be with that special someone. Hey, Phil, thanks for joining in. And Phil says, hey, Rick, love takes time. It absolutely does. And that brings up a great thought here, Phil, because a friend I've been talking to said that she was out on a first date, and she said she kind of got creeped out because the guy told her on the first, and they had talked a little bit back and forth on the phone and text messaging, but on the first date he said, "I love you." And there's you may be infatuated with someone. I'm infatuated with you, but in love, yeah, that takes a little more time. That takes a little more effort, and you don't know anybody's character on the first date. I don't care how many phone calls you've had. The chemistry there might be a certain sexual chemistry. There might be even some intellectual chemistry, but until you really get to know someone, know their values, know their personality, know their quirks, their ups, their downs, and it's impossible to know. Now there are the rare cases that you hear the romance stories that they talk about how, yeah, I knew that I was going to marry her from the first time, the first time I saw her. And there are those stories. One of my best friends, my mentor as a financial advisor, married his high school sweetheart. And it was shortly after high school that they got married, and they're married almost 50 years later. So it doesn't mean that their marriage hasn't been without its problems. Every relationship is going to have its problems, but you have to be mature enough to recognize that not every day is going to be rainbows, unicorns, and butterflies, and all relationships, even love, it's going to have strains. But when you do fall in love with somebody, after the infatuation is worn off, the infatuation is the butterflies in the stomach, the weak, wobbly knees, the tingling in your toes. That stuff eventually wears off. It's the love. This is the person I want to go home to. This is the person, the first person I want to wake up next to, or the first person I want to see when I walk through the door at night. This is the first person that I want to share my day with, good or bad. This is the first person that I want to, whatever it is. This is the person that I want to share everything with. Except maybe birthday presents, anniversary presents. You might want to keep that quiet until the day. But anyway, I digress. So there's, when you fall in love, it is kind of the glue that holds the whole relationship together, through the good times, the bad times, and everything in between. So, there are, and I guess, for lack of better terms, it's a process. And the process starts with, number one, being first of all, you have to be in the right mind, the right mental state to date. If you've just broken up with somebody, if you've just gotten a divorce, or like the gentleman I talked about last weekend who's been widowed for less than 6 months, and he's already out looking, and he refuses to wait just to heal and grieve the loss of, number one, his wife, but the loss of a 52-year marriage. There's a lot of baggage that he's carrying. And he is going to destroy a lot of relationships because he's not ready. And I almost guarantee you that he will blame the woman for not being ready, or he will view, she'll recognize that he's not ready, and he's going to blame her because she's got cold feet. She's not serious about dating. She's a tease. She's, whatever his excuse is going to be. I can almost guarantee that's going to happen. But, he wouldn't listen to me. So he has to learn it the hard way. And unfortunately, he's going to damage or hurt some women along the way. And unfortunately, there's too many of us, men and women, that go out and start dating way too quickly. And I don't mean dating from going out and having a nice dinner or going out and watching a movie or going out dancing, whatever it is you want to do. But it's carrying you carry baggage from past relationships forward, and until you unload that, you're not a good candidate to date seriously. You're not a good candidate to be in a long-term relationship. So that's why it's so important to get things straight up here first. And then you have to be crystal clear. And while you're getting things straight up in your head, then you can start working on your must-have list and your deal breaker list, so that you know what you want and what you don't want. I had a lady make a comment today on one of my ads for my book that someone had piped up that in the ad I talk about how in today's world we are told that we deserve nothing but the best. We deserve the best house, the best neighborhood, the best food, the best car, the best clothes. And this woman piped up and said, "No, I've never been told that." Well, then you're not seeing the same ads that I am. Because every ad that you see is designed to make you think that they're the best, and you want that because they're going to give you that feeling that you're in the best. It's going to make you look important. It's going to make you look good. It's going to make you look sexy. It's going to make you smell sexy. It's going to, whatever it is, it's designed to make you think that what they have is the best, and you deserve that. And we're told that day in and day out. And the reality, and until it comes to dating, and everybody says, "No, you're too picky. You can't have everything you want. That's not realistic." I hear that every day. And I'm here to tell you that that's not true. And then a lady followed up right after that comment, and said, "I was married at 21, divorced at 42, and single for over 20 years. She said, "I'm 70 years old, and I am finally with my soulmate. And it was worth every bit of the wait." And it was just, it's just one of those awesome stories that she understood, and she finally understood how great it was to have waited. And even though it took 20 years, she's going to spend the rest of her life with the man of her dreams, with her extraordinary marriage, her soulmate. It's so easy to get discouraged, but it does take time. You're looking for that needle in a haystack relationship, and if you get frustrated and down on dating and you carry that attitude with you, and you literally drive people away from you. So it's so important to get straight up here first. Get your mind right. Be in a positive attitude. If you're looking at dating like, "Oh, another date, another first date. Oh, when am I going to find the right?" That's going to come off in your date. Even if you're just sitting at home thinking about that while you're getting ready. She says, "Oh, I should really call and cancel this date," and say, "No, I really don't want to go on this date. I've got a headache, or I've got something come up." If it's a crappy date and you need a backup, have somebody call and give you an emergency call so you can politely excuse yourself. Or better yet, just make it a coffee or cocktails. That way, 15, maybe 20 minutes if you're not feeling it, saying, yeah, I appreciate the time. I'm not feeling it. Have a good evening or have a good afternoon. Okay. No big expense for either one of you, and typically if it's a guy, guys, buy her coffee, buy her a drink, and be the good guy, be the gentleman. And if neither one of you are feeling it, just say so. Don't try to lead each other on. And so and that's why it's so important to just be casual for the first date. The first meeting, be because realistically odds are it's going to be a one and done. Just because you have to. There's so many pieces of straw in that haystack to find that needle. You got to be going through straws of hay like crazy. You can't just pull off 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 little pieces and say, "Oh, there it is." It just doesn't happen that way. It just doesn't happen that way. Some people get really lucky, but for the most of us, it's for the 98% of us that aren't that lucky. It just takes time. It takes work. It takes effort. Dating is all about putting in effort. And so, what do you all do? Tell me, what do you all do to get yourself up for a date? What do you when you find yourself getting down on dating? What do you do? Are there things? Do you have routines that you go through to get yourself pumped up for a date? Especially if you're not particularly sure about the date. How do you try to make it a good date? What kind of attitude are you walking in with? Um, ha, the brain fade today. The things are just racing through my head. So it's your attitude means everything. Your attitude can make or break a date. If you walk in with a negative attitude, nothing is right with the world kind of attitude, it's it's going to take a really strong date to see through all the garbage that you're bringing bringing to the table. Because none of us wants, at least I don't, I can't speak for the rest of you. I don't want a date like that. I want somebody that's positive, upbeat, and has a lot of good things to say, has an optimistic outlook. And when you bring that to the table, you become more valuable to your date. You become a more valuable commodity in the dating world. And I don't want to make it sound like we're all just pieces of meat in the dating world. We are commodities because I learned a long time ago that there's always going to be somebody in looking at the women that I date, there's always going to be somebody prettier, richer, smarter. There's no end to up. And the same thing with guys. There's always going to be somebody more handsome, more fit, more whatever. So you have to look at the date. Are you looking at the entire character? Are you looking at all the aspects, not just physical, not just appearance, how they dress, or what their finances are? Now, granted, everybody would like somebody to be gainfully employed. For those of us that are still in the working years, as you age out of you as you age out of the workforce, then you can start looking for somebody that's retired, but you still want to be looking for somebody that is self sufficient, or at least you should be, simply for the fact that it becomes a problem when you try to save someone, and it doesn't make any difference whether you're a guy or a girl. It's not your job to rescue somebody. It's your job to find somebody that's already taking care of themselves. You want, at least in my opinion, you want to be with somebody that wants to be there, but doesn't need to be there. They want to be with you. They don't need to be with you. And Jacqueline says, you attract what you are and what you believe. That's absolutely right. And that's my whole point. Jacqueline put it very well. When you walk in with a negative attitude, that's exactly what you're going to attract. And odds are that's going to spiral your attitude down even more. I can't find anybody. Everybody out there's got a shitty attitude. Well, excuse my language. But that's the aura that you're giving off. And whether you believe in the law of attraction, or whether you believe in God, or whatever your beliefs are, all the historic writings share that you'll get what you put out. The universe will return to you what you send out, and for me, God will send me what I'm looking for when it's right. And I went through this with somebody not too long ago that she was frustrated with dating, and why can't I find anyone? And I had to remind her that God, number one, may have lessons for you to learn yet, but also He may be teaching your soulmate lessons. And it's not until those lessons are learned and you two are ready to come together that it will happen. And it will happen when it happens. But that reminds me, you have to take an active role in dating. You can't be sitting at home. You have to be out and about. People tell me, frequently that, well, God will bring the right person to me. Well, in the meantime, what are you doing? What are you doing to help that process? There's a great meme on Facebook, and it's talking about praying to God it shows a guy leaning on a shovel, and it's praying to God for a hole. Well, He gave you the shovel, so you have to do some work to create that hole. And the meme is cuter than what I describe it, but the point is, God knows what you need, but you have to put in the effort to look. You have to put in the effort to be out there. And again, like Jacqueline says, you attract what you are and what you believe. So it's a matter of making sure your head's the space between your ears is in the right frame of mind. Because it's so easy. How many of you have had a bad day? I know I have. And I can say something, I can be talking to somebody, or in the process of responding to somebody, and it can come across, my attitude comes across as oh, I don't want to talk to this jerk again. And, and that's happened. So it's, if you're dating online and you're responding to somebody, make sure you're in a good mood. Make sure that your attitude is in the right place. Don't think of it as drudgery. If there's 400 guys that have reached out to you, you don't have to respond to everybody. Number one, they don't know if you're a paying member. They don't know if you've even seen your email. And so, don't feel obligated. Don't feel overwhelmed. If you're online dating, don't spend more than a half an hour a day or an hour a day at it. You get burned out. It's shopper's fatigue. There's just so many profiles out there, so many people to look at, and it gets frustrating after a while. But then every once in a while you'll scroll across a really good one, and you might strike up a conversation. But again, even in online dating, you've got to have a positive attitude. You've got to be looking at it as, yeah, I enjoy this. I enjoy meeting new people. Let's see who I can find today. Let's see if there's somebody new that I can talk to. It doesn't mean that just because you find somebody that you're attracted to, or you think that there's they look like a good candidate, doesn't mean they're going to respond. I can't. I hear from so many people that they send out all these emails, all these messages, and nobody responds. Well, there could be a number of problems. Number one, they might not be a paying member, so they can't see your email. Number two, it has a lot to do with what you say. You have to say more than, hey, or hi, or hey there, beautiful, or hey, handsome. Whichever side of the aisle you're on there. So you have to be a little more of a conversationalist. You have to open. You can open the question. Say, hey, I hope you had a great weekend. Hope you're doing well, and then go into a question. How was your weekend? How was your do you have big plans for the coming weekend? What is it that you do, or tell me what got you into your line of work? Ask an open-ended question that causes them to have to write back. And ask an intelligent question. And try not to be too much of a smartass on the first couple of comments. Everybody likes to laugh, but trying to make somebody laugh when it's your first couple of comments, yeah, it's probably not the wisest of opening lines. So anyway. Well, I think that's I think that's about it. I think I've covered all the questions and comments. I hope you guys have had a great week, or I hope you do have a great week, because we're only on Monday, and I guess I will see you back here next Monday for Monday Mastery Live at 5. In the meantime, if you guys have any questions, shoot me a message, shoot me a text, and I'll do whatever I can to answer the question, and maybe even make it a topic for next week's show. And we'll see what strange things happen during this week to make it a topic for next week. Hey, Kathy, thank you, and you have a blessed evening also. Thank you, everyone. Have a great and blessed week, and I will see you all next week. I love you guys.